Warning, this video contains spoilers for the animated Vox Machina series, Seasons 1 and 2. Hello YouTube and welcome to Cyprime Productions. I'm a new YouTube channel, so bear with me as I figure things out. So, I know these aren't the most popular videos on my channel, but I really enjoy making the cast of Vox Machina in Pathfinder 2e, so I thought I would continue by making Vex'ahlia, the Archer of Critical Role's first campaign. As a quick reminder for how these videos work, 1. I will be making the animated versions of these characters, as I haven't gotten through the entirety of Critical Role's Campaign 1 broadcast. It's a lot of content to get through, so I'll be going with the animated versions. 2. We will be making the characters from levels 1 to 10 without the free archetype rules in order to make these builds as broadly applicable as possible. 3. I understand Critical Role uses the D&D 5e rule set and that Pathfinder 2e is a different game entirely. This isn't a one-to-one translation, but an interpretation. Characters may end up with different stats or even different classes, as what works in D&D may not work in Pathfinder and vice versa. I'm going to try and recreate the essence of the character, not the mechanics. 4. I'll be ignoring the uncommon and rare tags, as what is uncommon or rare in Vex'ahlia may not be in Pathfinder, and vice versa. Oh, and yes, I am aware that the Critical Role game started off as a Pathfinder 1st Edition game. You don't need to keep reminding me, I got it. So, let's talk about Vex'ahlia real quick so we know what we have to build towards. Vex was born to a human mother and an elf father. At some point early in her life, a dragon attacked her village with her mother. She and her brother survived, and the two moved in with their elven father in an elven city. Their father ended up emotionally torturing them by insisting that they were inferior for being only half elven. They then ran away, and Vex learned to survive in the wilds and even befriended a bear she named Trinket. Editor Cyprime Productions here. Apparently I made a mistake and got the order of events wrong. They actually moved in with their father first, then went back to their mom's village, and that's when they discovered the dragon attack. Sorry for the error. Her brother, Vex'ahlia, was less well suited to surviving outdoors and had to rely on his sister for surviving out in the wilds, but had a knack for surviving in cities. We'll get to him eventually. So, I admit, I went back and forth on Vex's class a lot. D&D Vex'ahlia is a ranger, though she doesn't seem to cast any spells in the show. D&D rangers can cast spells, by the way. The lack of spellcasting is probably so that the show doesn't have to waste time explaining another spellcaster, as there are already 2 different spellcasters in the party, Scanlan and Pike. She does turn one arrow into many at one point, which could have been the spell Hail of Thorns, but it could have also just as easily been a special magic arrow. So I toyed with making Vex a fighter, as an archery fighter would be better at shooting bows than a ranger, and then using an archetype to get the animal companion, Trinket. I even toyed with ditching Trinket altogether, as the bear doesn't fight very often in this show. Believe me, there are no, quote, right answers, unquote, for making Vex'ahlia. But after going back and forth a dozen times, I decided I just had to make a decision, so I just ended up making her a ranger like in the show to keep things simple. So there's nothing to it than to just build her out. As always with Pathfinder, we start with the ABCs of character creation, and A stands for ancestry. Vex'ahlia is explicitly a half-elf, half-human, so she starts off as a human with the heritage Ayuvaran, or half-elf. This nets her low-light vision and 2 ability score increases. We're going to go with strength and dexterity. For her ancestry feat, I'm going to choose unconventional weaponry, which gives her proficiency in the Hungali hornbow. This weapon is a special bow common to the Hungali human ethnicity that acts as a longbow, but doesn't have the volley trait, meaning it can be used at point-blank range without a problem. B is for background, and that is where I get to use one of my favorite backgrounds. See, Vex has a supernatural awareness of dragons due to her childhood trauma that manifests as sudden headaches when dragons are near. The cursed background actually helps us out here, as it gives us an option to make up the details of a curse, such as getting headaches around dragons. The cursed background also gives Vex the occultism skill and the curse lore skill. Instead of a skill feat, which backgrounds normally grant, Cursed gives you this reaction you can use to get a bonus on saves, which we can reflavor as Vex just being really good at avoiding magical effects. Cursed gives her a bonus to Intelligence or Charisma, we'll choose Intelligence, and a free ability score increase, we'll go with Dex. C is for class, and Vex is a Ranger. As a Ranger, Vex gets to choose a subclass, which is called a Hunter's Edge. I'm going to go with a Precision Ranger, which lets Vex deal an extra D8 precision damage once a round to her hunted prey. This will help her dealing damage, considering she doesn't add her full strength to damage like a melee ranger would. She gets a class feat from her class. We're going to grab Animal Companion and choose Bear. This gets you Trinket. She also gets a bonus to Strength or Dex. We'll choose Dex. She starts off automatically trained in Nature and Survival, as well as 5 other skills, 4 from her class and 1 from her high intelligence. I'm going to go with Arcana, Acrobatics, Athletics, Religion, and Society. I'll throw up the other class stuff she gets here. Lastly, she gets 4 free ability boosts. I'm going to go with Strength, Dex, Con, and Wisdom. For gear, I'm going to give her leather armor, some arrows, an adventurer's kit, and a bow staff. That's BOW staff, as we see her using her bow in melee when she fights her mind-controlled brother at the end of Season 1. Some of you may be wondering why she doesn't use a Hungali hornbow from her ancestry feat, and that's because we're going to use the hornbow to represent Fenthras, the vestige of divergence Vex gets in Season 2. It's a large, super magical bow that she uses from then on. As she levels up, she starts to become more recognizable. At level 2, she gets another class feat, and I'm going to pick up Hunter's Aim, which gives her a bonus to hit and lets her ignore cover, but costs 2 actions instead of 1. She also gets a skill feat. I'm going to choose Courtly Graces, which lets her use her society skill instead of charisma skills in high society situations, such as being at the dinner with the Briarwoods. At level 3, she gets a general feat, and I'm going to choose Fleet to make her a bit faster. Also, she gets a skill increase, and I'm going to choose Acrobatics, which is actually the skill used for the flying broom she gets in Season 2. She also gets to up her will save to Expert, because that's something all Rangers get at level 3. At level 4, she gets another class feat, and I'm going to pick up Favored Prey for Dragons. This allows her to use Hunt Prey on Dragons as a free action. For her skill feat, I'm going to choose the Additional Lore feat for Dragons, which gives her the Dragon Lore skill, which automatically upgrades as she gains levels, becoming Master at 7 and Legendary at 15. At level 5, she gets 4 attribute boosts. As a Dex-based character, that's always a priority, though it only goes up a half point due to how attribute boosts work. The other 3 will go into Strength, Constitution, and Intelligence. And because her int goes up, she becomes trained in a new skill. I'll choose Stealth, as she can be pretty sneaky when she wants. She gets an ancestry feat. I'll grab Nimble Elf to make her even faster. She also gets a skill increase. Let's go with Survival. She also gains some automatic class features at level 5. She becomes expert in simple and martial weapons and the Hungali hornbow due to her ancestry feat, and gains the Trackless Journey class feature, which makes her harder to track. At level 6, she gains the standard class feat and skill feat. For the class feat, let's upgrade Trinket with the Mature Companion feat, making him more powerful. For the skill feat, I'll take Unmistakable Lore. This makes it harder for her to fail skill checks to recall knowledge about dragons. Level 7, she gets another general feat. Let's grab Toughness to help with those hit points. She also gets to up a skill to Master, so let's choose Acrobatics. She also gets the class feature Weapon Specialization, meaning she does 2 extra damage with weapons she's expert in. Her Perception also increases to Master, as does her Reflex saves, and she gets to treat a successful Reflex save as a critical success. This is similar to D&D's Evasion. At level 8, she gets another Ranger feat and another skill feat. For the Ranger feat, I'll choose Hunter's Boon, which lets her, as an action, allow another player to roll a d8 extra precision damage on their attack. Vex'ahlia is often the shot caller and playmaker of Vox Machina, so I feel this makes sense. She can make a call or play and help other characters deal extra damage. For her skill feat, let's go with Assurance for Dragon Lore, meaning she can effectively take 10 on Dragon Lore, even in combat. At level 9, she gets another Ancestry feat, and I think Elf Step is accurate. This lets her step twice as one action, allowing her to get out of tight situations. She also gets a skill increase, which, you guessed it, we're going to use for survival again. Also, her class DC goes up to Expert, but she doesn't use that too much, so it's not really much use to us. And level 10 is where we're going to stop. She gets another 4 ability boosts, upping her strength to 4 so that she can do some extra damage with the propulsive trait of that Hungali Hornbow. Dex goes up to +5, Constitution up to +3, and her Wisdom up to +2. She gets one last Ranger feat, which we will use for Incredible Companion. This further upgrades Trinket. Lastly, she gets one final skill feat. Let's go with Automatic Knowledge for Dragon Lore. Now she can identify dragons as a free action. And that's it. That's the build for up to level 10. Remember, at some point she trades in her bow staff, that's BOW staff, for the powerful magic artifact Fenthris, which I am counting as a Hungali Hornbow. She should also have some good magic armor at this point, a broom of flying, and a few other magical knickknacks and tchotchkes. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you. I really appreciate all the positive support I'm receiving on my journey to being a YouTuber. Thank you very much. If you like this channel and want to see it grow, please like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you want to see more of my kind of content. Until then, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming.